Hey guys, this is Brian Mounts. I run turfmechanic.com. Today, with spring starting, I thought it would be a great time to brainstorm some of the biggest mistakes, some of those duh moments that we all have from time to time. No matter how much we know about lawn care, we still make these mistakes every now and then. Now, like I said, I was brainstorming this morning. I made a large list. This list is not comprehensive. There's no way I think I could outline every single mistake that people make in the lawn. But these are some of the big ones, and these are some of the ones that when we make them, we think to ourselves, why did I do that? I know better. Now, because this list is long, I'm not going to go deeply into any of them, and I do expect you, my viewer, to add to the list in the comments below, because I guarantee you there's a couple obvious mistakes that are just slipping my mind. Now, because we're headed into spring, this list is slanted towards the early season mistakes. However, not all of them fall into the March, April, and May category. Now, in no particular order, let's get to the list. Mistake number 1, don't scarify or power rake your lawn deeply before it's actively growing, before it's growing vigorously. What you see behind me here is a nice green lawn, but it's not growing vigorously yet. If I were to go power rake this, I would do it on a very high setting. If I start scoring deep into the ground, it's going to take a long time for the grass to recover, and I'm going to lose ground on spring. You want to wait for everything to be growing strong before you scarify or deeply dethatch. Mistake number 2, if you are going to be overseeding in the spring, don't put pre-emergent down. Sometimes us lawn care fanatics think to ourselves, well, it's spring, we put down pre-emergent because we don't want the weeds. But we forget that a little bit later in the spring, we wanted to overseed because parts of our lawn might be thin. If you think you're going to overseed, then don't put the pre-emergent down. Now, along the same vein of pre-emergence, if you're going to be aerifying your lawn through core aeration or spike aeration, don't aerate the lawn after you put the pre-emergent down. If you're going to go through the trouble of putting the pre-emergent down, you want the barrier to last for a long time. Once you start poking holes into it, then you break the barrier and your pre-emergent isn't going to work very well. Make sure to aerate and then put the pre-emergent down in that order. Now, a very spring-related topic here is fertilizing the lawn before soil temperatures get to 55 degrees. You're going to be fertilizing the lawn before your soil temperatures get to 55 degrees. You can't be using urea or any organic fertilizer unless you expect it to work later in the spring. The reason for that is urea and organics need to be broken down by soil microbes, and the vast majority of soil microbes are still in a dormant state until soil temperatures get to about 55 degrees or higher. That means if it's April 1st and your soil temperature is 50 degrees and you go and throw down a Milorganite product, it's not going to do anything for a long time. Now let's get to the subject of grubs. If we want to prevent grubs, we don't put grub preventatives down in the early parts of spring. It's too early. The way that a grub's life cycle works is that the grubs are emerging from eggs from mid to late June through July. So you're going to be putting down the grub preventative towards the end of May through June, maybe into the first week of July. That's your time frame. If you're putting grub preventative down in April, then it's just too early. Now, on the flip side of that coin is if you want to kill grubs, you have to kill them in the early spring when they are adults before they go and they lay their eggs. If you're going to go and put down a grub killing product in the month of June or July, you're doing it too late. You got to get the timing right on the two grub products. Now, this next idea is near and dear to my heart. I really am a big fan of core aeration, and whenever I core aerate my lawn, I always top dress after. I top dress with products that are very hard to incorporate into the soil at any other time during the year. If you're going to go through the time, trouble, and expense of core aerating your lawn, please don't make the mistake of not top dressing immediately thereafter. You're wasting a very good opportunity. Now, as you see, my lawn is cut very short. If you are interested in cutting your lawn really short, whether it be with a reel mower or a rotary mower, do not do it unless you are positive that you can commit to cutting your grass at least 2 times a week. If you can't commit to doing it at least twice a week, then please don't cut your grass short. If you do cut it short once a week or once every 10 days, you are going to be breaking the 1/3 rule every single time you mow, and your grass is not going to perform very well over the course of the full season. Now, irrigation. If you live in a climate where you have to regularly irrigate your lawn, please don't irrigate your lawn 3 or 4 times a week for 15 minutes a day. It's not going to do very well. This is a perfect recipe for making a shallow root system in your lawn and a lawn that doesn't hold up to stresses very well. Please irrigate less often and for a longer period of time whenever possible. Back to early spring. If soil temperatures are below 55 degrees, then that means that there's not a lot of microbial activity in the lawn. Therefore, in the early season when you're cutting your grass, this is a better time to be bagging the clippings, because if we mulch the clippings back into the lawn, there's not a lot of activity in the soil to break those clippings down and reincorporate them into the soil profile. I'm a big fan of nutrient cycling. I have a full video on this channel about it, but that is best done during the warmer months of the year. In the early season and the very late season, when soil temperatures are below 55, please consider bagging your clippings. Now, if you're one of those crazy people that wants to kill your entire lawn and completely start over, or maybe just kill off a patch of your lawn and you're planning on doing the nuclear option with glyphosate, please don't think that you can apply it one time and be done. Almost every single person that attempts to fully kill all vegetation off of the lawn space, it requires a couple rounds of glyphosate. No matter the fact that glyphosate kills everything it touches, it's just hard to get one application of the product down and actually kill everything in the lawn. Plan on doing 2 rounds, separated by at least 2 weeks. You apply, you wait 2 weeks, and then when the conditions are right, you apply again. Then you wait another 10 days or so, and then everything should be killed off. Now, once it comes time to actually put seed down, whether you're putting seed down on an existing lawn or on a bare patch of dirt, it can be really tempting to do everything to the lawn space, get the seed down, set up your watering system, and then not do anything about the weeds. Weeds will come up during especially a bare dirt seeding scenario. Please consider planning on using some sort of mesotrione product, whether it be Tenacity or the generic products out there. These products can be sprayed onto the soil surface or the seeding area, the seed bed, and they will stop many weeds from growing amongst your baby grass seedlings. And for most grass types, this is not going to affect the grass that is sprouting at all. Now, if you are going to be doing some overseeding at some point during the spring and you're not putting pre-emergent down, please consider scarifying the lawn, dethatching heavily just before you apply the seed. The reason we do that is because it scrapes off a lot of the organic matter off of the soil surface, and it creates little grooves in the ground that seed can get into and come in contact with the soil. You'll have better germination rates when you do this. Now, especially important for those of you living in hot, humid climates, preventative fungicide treatments are a lot better than waiting for a problem and then trying to fix it later. Usually by mid to late spring, when temperatures start getting quite high and humidity is high, this is when preventative rates of fungicides can be applied to stop problems before they start. Once a problem gets bad, it becomes much harder to correct the problem later in the season when the conditions are even worse for fungal disease pressures. One of the many ways that fungal diseases enter grass plants is by cutting the grass with dull mower blades. So please take the time throughout the growing season to start sharpening your mower blades regularly. Most people use a rotary mower, and these are the easiest blades of them all to keep sharp. For me, when I sharpen mine in the garage, it doesn't usually take me more than about 5 minutes or so. I have an entire video about how to do this, which is linked down in the description below. Now, as we push through late spring and go into summer, this is when fertilizing becomes a little bit dangerous if we're using urea or any synthetic fertilizers. These are high on the salt index, and if the moisture level in your soil is dry, which it frequently is going into hot summer weather, it can be very easy to burn your grass by fertilizing. Not to mention the fact that grass growing excessively in the heat, unless maybe you're running a warm season grass type, is going to be under pressure. It doesn't want to grow that fast, so we don't need to be fertilizing it for growth. Organics during the summer are a good option because they won't burn and they will break down slowly over time and add to the organic matter in your soil. Now, if you're also one of those crazy people that want to level your lawn, it's important to put a fast release fertilizer onto the area just before you do your leveling job. For one, you're going to want to cut the grass as low as you possibly can, either with your rotary mower or with a reel mower, and then fertilize it so that it starts growing quickly. When you level a lawn, if the grass is too long, it gets mulched down much easier and it might not come back, especially if it's growing slowly. So if we can cut it short and fertilize it heavily, not too heavily, then it is far more likely to push up through the leveling material, be it sand, compost, soil, or whatnot. And you'll end up having a much better result in the end. Getting back to seeding now, if you plan on seeding at all, whether it be overseeding or spot repair or blank dirt, just starting fresh, don't seed unless you can guarantee yourself that you can water multiple times every day for at least 3 weeks. If you're going to be putting seed down now and planning on going on a weekend vacation in 10 days, it's not the right time to seed. I'm not saying don't go on your vacation. I'm saying plan your seeding around your actual schedule. To get seed to germinate well, it needs to be consistently moist. So whether you've got that on a sprinkler timer or you got to go out there by hand and get it done yourself, make sure that you only seed if you can water it. Now, the last item on my brainstorm list has to do with the fall. So this is a ways out for those of you subscribers watching this live. In the fall, you need to be putting down a pre-emergent if you don't want Poa annua in your lawn at the end of winter. This mostly applies to warm season grasses, but it is, I have called this on my channel before, one of the most forgettable lawn applications of the entire year. It's really easy to just not do this. And then every time February rolls around, warm season grasses all around the country are infested with Poa, and everyone is thinking, I should have done this in the fall. Now, like I said, this is not an exhaustive list. There are plenty of other problems and mistakes that people make all the time. Please leave others down in the comments below for the benefit of everyone. For those of you relatively new to lawn care, in the description below, I have 2 links over to the Turf Mechanic website. One of them has to do with my recommendations for early spring fertilization. The other has to do with my thoughts on weed pre-emergence. Take a look at those, or even my spring lawn care guide. And now, with my kids behind me, that's my cue to get off the camera. Watch this video up here. This is about the stuff people don't understand about fertilizing with nitrogen.